the pizza is the best food in the world.
I don't think so. Them burgers are everybody's favorite. Hey, sausage is the best.
Ay, no. Tacos, mucho bueno.
No, the pizza is the best food in the world.
While playing Food Fight, you will be doing just that, having a food fight, throwing burgers at each other. At the end of the game, you want to be the player with the most points, so here's how you do it. During Food Fight, players stand around a table and they are allowed to move their whole body, except one leg of their choice. After players set up the game by placing the burgers, the penalty cards, and the starting food deck, in the middle of the table, they shuffle the deck and deal each player 3 food cards. Starting with the first player who draws a card from the draw pile, players, when it is their turn, choose a card from their hand that they want to pass on to the player to their left. While playing Food Fight, you want to gather 3 cards of the same food type, and when you do so, you can place the 3 matching cards face up on the table. This is when you can grab a burger, but you do not throw it just yet. After grabbing a burger, the player then passes a card to the next player and also draws 3 new cards from the deck. The game continues as it began until the player that is holding a burger has once again 3 matching cards that they can place on the table. This is when the food fight begins. After placing the 3 matching cards on the table, the player has 3 seconds to throw the burger at any other player above the waist, and everybody else has to try and avoid it. Be careful not to miss, because if you do, you receive a penalty card. But if you don't, then the player who got hit receives one. When there are no cards in the draw pile, it's time to see who the winner is. Count your points by counting how many matching sets of cards you placed on the table and subtract 1 point for every penalty card you have. While playing Cook and Sell, you will need to cook and strategically sell certain types of food in order to be the first player to reach the winning amount of money. That varies depending on how many players there are. This game is played in rounds, and each round has 5 phases. The first phase begins, of course, with cooking. At the beginning of each round, players receive 3 cards of each food type, a total of 12 starting food cards. They shuffle the cards and place them before them face down. From this new deck of starting cards, they draw 5 cards into their hand. On the table, they should have already placed the advanced food cards, action cards, pin cards, the money cards, and the offer and demand card for the appropriate number of players during the game setup. The cooking phase continues by players drawing 1 more card from their draw deck, and this is now the food that they will be working with. Players now have different cards in their hand, which brings us to the next phase, bringing food to the market. This is when players decide which food they want to put up for sale. They can choose up to 2 different types of food cards and put as many as they would like up for sale by holding them in the right hand. When all the players are ready, they show which cards they're bringing to the market by turning them over at the same time. Then, players follow the offer and demand card to see how much a certain food type is worth. After this, except during the first round, the action phase begins, when players have the opportunity to use their action cards. Starting with the first player, the player that has the starting burger, going clockwise, players decide which action cards they want to use to potentially alter the value of the offered food types. This continues until all players have said skip and have no more action cards that they want to use for this round. After this, the payout phase begins, and all players receive the money they earned by selling the food with the new altered prices by the action cards, and discard the sold food cards face up next to the draw pile. The final phase is upgrading kitchens, so during the next rounds, they can cook more food and make better deals when selling. Going clockwise from the first player, players decide if they want to buy action, advanced food, or pan cards. After everyone has paid for upgrading their kitchens, the starting marker is passed on to the next player and a new round begins. The final round is the round during which one of the players earns the winning amount of money and is then declared the winner. At the beginning of Think and Write, you will need 1 pen per player, a burger, which will be your starting marker, and a player sheet for every player, as well as an offer and demand card for the appropriate number of players. During thinking and writing, you are the owner of a restaurant, and you want to have the most profitable restaurant by the end of the 10th and final round. When the players have come up with a name for the restaurant and written it down on their player sheets, they start with the first round. We begin with cooking the food the restaurants are going to be selling. Players have 4 different types of food that they can sell to their customers. Every round, each player for themselves decides which products they want to cook by crossing them out on their player sheets. But be careful, you want to do this in a way that the competing restaurants don't find out. The general rule is the more players sell a certain type of food, the less value that food type will have on the market. When all the restaurants have prepared their food, it's time to bring the food to the customers and see which restaurant was the most profitable for that round. Players reveal their player sheets and according to the offer and demand card, check the value of the food type they cooked, going one food type at a time. This is when players can start using boosters. Beginning with the player who has the starting burger, players can choose to circle a booster that can increase or decrease the value of that food type by 2 and increase or decrease a product's value of their choice by 1. After players have brought to the market all 4 food types and adjusted their values with boosters, it's time to calculate how much each restaurant earned, or sometimes lost, if the value of the product was negative. Players write down their profits in the left cells of the player sheets, and then start a new round by passing the starting burger to the next player going clockwise. At the end of the 10th and final round, players calculate their total profit and write it down. The most profitable restaurant is the winner.